Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today, we are going to be showcasing everything new in Minecraft 1.20.3. Now, we are not going to be covering anything that was experimental or that will be coming in Minecraft 1.21. This will literally just be what you can mess around with no toggles or anything like that, as 1.20.3 should be releasing within the next day or so. So the first thing that's new, and this was added in the very first snapshot, when you actually have a shield in your hand, you can now look up and the shield will move with your camera. This was mainly to fix a bug where if you would look up, the actual shield would stay looking forward and you couldn't actually block shots from above you. So if someone was bowing down from above, you would still take damage. And now the shield will block damage from above. And this is a really good change because it makes shields a little bit more overpowered where you can now block shots from above. And it does also mean that the shield is a bit more dynamic to the actual player, where it will move around with the camera rather than always staying in one place. This does also work with the offhand, but it is a bit weird because as you can see, when you have it in your offhand, it shields the player a lot more. So it kind of makes a bit more sense. Decorated pots have had a huge update in 1.23. The first thing, they can stack up to 64 now. As long as they have the same patterns on them, they can go past stack size of 1. If they have different shards, they won't stack with ones that have other different shards. They have to be the exact same for them to actually stack. The next change is you can now actually break decorated pots with projectiles like arrows, tridents, snowballs, and stuff like that. So you can kind of make a mini game with them. Alongside this, there is a new game rule that has been added, which is projectiles can break blocks. By default, this is set to true. But if you sell it to false, projectiles won't be able to break things like decorated pots, dripstone, and also chorus fruit. The next change inside of 1.23, decorated pots can now store up to 64 items, but the item can only be of one type. So for example, I cannot put 16 bricks in and then some hoppers. It can only be one item type, but it can be up to a stack of that item. If the actual item is non-stackable, like bows, you can only put a singular item in it. Now, decorated pots don't have any GUI, so to get the item out, you either have to break the pot, as you can see, or you have to use hoppers to get the item out. So if I put the bow in, it'll be taken out because the hopper is below. And this does also mean that you can input items with hoppers as well. The items are going within the decorated pot. It doesn't make a shaking animation or anything. This does also work with droppers. Decorated pots can also read from comparators if they have items inside. See, if I put in some decorated pots, the comparator will read and the signal will get higher the more actual items it has inside of it. This is slowly going up, you can see at the side here. Also, when a decorated pot wobbles, so as you can see that is what it's doing right now, that'll give a vibration frequency of 11. The next change in 1.23 is things that are not living, so things like boats or minecarts. If you place them down, they will now display the name within the actual world. So as you can see, this minecart is now having the name, and the name can obviously be changed with an anvil. So if I throw this in here and change it to hello, and then I place this down within the world, as you can see, the name is now above it. And this does also fix a bug where if you was to name something and then place it down, the name would vanish. If I break them, the name remains. This does also work with custom minecarts like TNT ones and also hoppers. So this does make redstoning a little bit easier because if you have a system that uses a lot of hopper minecarts and it continuously breaks, you can name the minecart something different to see how it's breaking and what is causing it to break by what minecart vanishes or something like that. This does also work with boats. Now this doesn't work for armor stands. Armor stands don't actually display the name above them even if they are named. There are also another two new game rules, and that is players Nether portal creative delay and players Nether portal default delay. This basically determines how long you have to stay within a Nether portal for before you teleport to the Nether. So, for example, the creative delay is instant. As soon as you enter a Nether portal in creative mode, you are instantly taken to the Nether. And if I quickly just show you, the default is 1, which means it takes 1 tick. Whereas if we do the other one, where it's default, this is for survival mode players, it is 80. So you can mess around with this. So if you want it to take players double the amount of time, you can change that to 160. If you want creative players to basically take the normal amount of time, you can change this to 80, and then players will have to wait in a Nether portal even in creative mode. Now these game rules are not really going to be anything survival players mess around with unless you alter them before you make your world, but they are good to know if you are a creative player or a map maker. Now it seems a bit weird because although the default delay is set to 1, it doesn't instantly teleport me, but I think, okay, that time it did. But if I go through, okay, yeah, it does seem to be pretty instant. Sometimes it will load for a second, but I think that's the game just registering that you can be instantly teleported. Another new thing that has been changed in 1.23 is the bats model and texture. This will be fully released in this update. Now, this only changes the model and texture. It doesn't change anything about the bat's AI. The AI is exactly the same as it was in 1.19, 1.20, and things like that. This is what it now looks like. It's just made the ears a lot bigger. There's a bit more purple within it now, and the wings have been made, I think, a little bit, like, bulkier. It looks a lot cuter in my opinion, although you don't really see bats that often. Once you come across them in caves, that is really the only time you see them. Another big thing inside of 1.23 is the tick command. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about what this command is. I have a whole video on my channel showcasing that, so I will link that in the description if you want to check that out. But the tick command fully releases within this update. But basically, in short, what this command does, it does it so you can freeze the game. But once again, if you do want to know exactly how the command works, then I will link the video in the description. A big change for arrows. Arrows now store the data on them even when they are shot. Before, if you was to shoot a spectral arrow and then pick it up, it would give you a normal arrow, as the game wouldn't basically detect that that arrow was spectral. Now, if you shoot an arrow, it will store its data, meaning when you pick it up, you'll be given the exact same arrow type. A few other changes: monster spawners, if you now actually have them placed down, they render all sides when looking at them from the outside. I think before it would sometimes make the sides invisible. It's kind of buggy though. When the block at the bottom is there, the bottom is invisible. If I break it, the bottom appears. But if you place a block on this side, that side goes invisible. And I think it's the same vice versa. Yeah, as you can see, the opposite side goes invisible. Now, it only works on the north and south axis, so I think all they've done is they've got these two axes flipped around. Another small minor tweak: this block right here is normally known as grass. Well, it has been changed to short grass. Before, if you was to type in grass, it would instantly input this short grass. So if you was to try and do grass blocks, it would kind of do something like this and then cause a lot of lag where the world would try to render them. So that has now been fixed, and it doesn't automatically fill grass in. You have to actually specify if you want short grass or grass blocks. Another change is if you have a chorus flower and you have a crossbow loaded with a firework, it will now break these. I can show this off another way though, if I just place a lot of these going up and then place a flower at the top, and then I now let this go up. If it actually explodes at the height, we'll now actually break the chorus through. One of the final changes inside of 1.23, decorated pots can now actually have loot tables assigned to them. This is once again only something that map makers or technical players will mess around with, but as you can see, if I break that pot, it has a name tag in it. I'm placing this down by using this command, set block decorated pot, and then loot table chest, and it's set in the ancient city chest. Now, unlike normal chests, these won't be able to have multiple items in. So as you can see, every time I break it, it will only have one item type. It can have more than one of the item type, but it will never have, like, books and enchanted golden apples. Two tags that have been added. This one has been added to the entities tag, and this is can breathe underwater. So these are entities that can breathe underwater without dying or being removed, and that is basically undead mobs, axolotls, frogs, guardians, elder guardians, turtles, glow squids, cods, pufferfish, salmon, squid, tropical fish, tadpole, and armor stand. And I think if you alter this tag, the entities you enter in here, they might not die underwater, although I'm not too sure about that, I haven't tested it. And then the second is a damage tag, and this is can break armor stands, and that is player attack or player explosions. So only damage types within this tag will be able to break armor stands, so things that are not a player attack or a player explosion shouldn't destroy armor stands anymore, I don't think. And then the final change within 123 that we are going to cover is inside of the accessibility options. And this is, if we quickly just head down, hide splash text. The best place to show this one is within the menu screen. Splash text is this yellow text right here. So if you go to options, accessibility, and turn that on so it hides it, as you can see, there is now no splash text. And that is it for 123. There is quite a lot more that are bug fixes, technical changes, and minor tweaks. Once the patch notes release, I will link them in the description so you can check out every single change. But the other changes I haven't mentioned are not really worth mentioning. I did go through every single change logs and got the most important parts out. And I think I've done a good job. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And I guess I'll see you guys in another video very soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.